Hi, my name is Joseph Parker, WBO champion of the world, and you're watching Sporting Icons.
Okay, so on January the 1st, King Kong Luis Ortiz took on Prince Charles Martin. I walk this earth like a god, or I hang from this top rope like a god in an IBF eliminator, where the winner will be ordered by the IBF to take on Filip Hrgovic in the final eliminator to become the IBF mandatory. King Kong Luis Ortiz defeated Charles Martin by stoppage in round number 6 after getting dropped a couple of times himself in that fight, thus has been ordered to take on Filip Hrgovic. Now, I knew that this was going to happen because Kalle Sauerland told me, as I told you a couple of videos ago. Well, it has now happened, and Luis Ortiz has rejected the fight with Filip Hrgovic. Filip Hrgovic is fast becoming arguably the most avoided man in boxing. He really is. Now, this is not the first time Luis Ortiz has been offered to fight with Filip Hrgovic to fight for the IBF mandatory position. He's turned it down once before, as has Charles Martin. So I do have to ask the question, what was the point of Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin? What's the point? Because King Kong Luis Ortiz was never going to take the fight for Filip Hrgovic. So what was the point of it? It makes no sense, right? Now, it's disappointing for sure. Personally, I would love to have seen Filip Hrgovic versus Luis Ortiz. And as per the recent poll that I've done, 3-4 days ago now, something like that, where I asked you who would win if the fight was to happen between Luis Ortiz and Filip Hrgovic. Well, 65% of you said Filip Hrgovic would win by knockout. And of course, I did give you the option as well of more chance of growing 2 heads than this fight happening. Some of you were a little bit critical of the fact that I put that in there. Well, when you know, you know. Okay, that's all I can say on it. But 6% of you agreed with me, and 6% of you were absolutely correct. This fight is not happening. For what reason? Because Luis Ortiz doesn't take risks. He doesn't. He never has. And him being called the boogeyman of the heavyweight division, he never was. And I told you this many, many times. Luis Ortiz has turned down Filip Hrgovic twice. He turned down $7 million to fight Anthony Joshua for the unified belts. He turned down $2 million to fight Dillian Whyte as a headline at the O2 Arena. He's turned down Joe Joyce more recently, apparently. So what exactly is it that he's the boogeyman? You see, all of it's just hype to prop up a win or the 2 wins for Deontay Wilder. That's what it was, and that's not me hating. That's the reality of it. Luis Ortiz is either scared, not confident, or his team are scared and not confident. Why do they keep turning down these fights for? Charles Martin was never really going to be that much of a risk. The result of that fight was no surprise. The only surprise was that Ortiz got dropped twice. Has his age finally crept upon him? Maybe. Officially, he's 42 years old, but according to his amateur coach, he said add 10 years to it. So apparently he's 52 years old, according to his amateur coach. As we know, Luis Ortiz spent a long, long time in the amateur system. So if anybody's going to know, it's going to be his coach, isn't it? Now, it's very disappointing, but I suppose one little glimmer in this one is that the next in line will be Joseph Parker. So Joseph Parker versus Filip Hrgovic for the IBF mandatory. We know that's a fight that Eddie Hearn would like. Would Joseph Parker want it? I don't know. Would Filip Hrgovic want it? I don't know. I would imagine that both of them would accept it. It's a very decent fight. I personally would like to see it with the work rate of Joseph Parker and the durable chin and punching power of Filip Hrgovic. That is set to be a pretty good fight. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But Luis Ortiz, he ain't no boogeyman. If anybody's going to be called the boogeyman right now, it's got to be Filip Hrgovic, isn't it? It really has to be. Why is it that everybody keeps turning down fights with Filip Hrgovic? He hasn't been pro for that long. He didn't win the Olympics. He got a bronze medal at the Olympics. So clearly, just according to that, he didn't do as well as Joe Joyce or Tony Yoka. But yet these two can get fights, but Filip Hrgovic can't. What is that? Is it down to money? I don't know. Is it a case of the PBC, yet again, refusing to allow their fighters to fight outside the PBC stable? But at the end of the day, all he had to do was negotiate with Filip Hrgovic. If they couldn't come to a deal, go to purse bid. PBC win the purse bid, bring Filip Hrgovic over to the PBC. But instead, the PBC do tend to withhold their fighters. And that's the reality of it. It happens time and time and time again. It shouldn't be allowed to happen. It shouldn't be allowed. which is why Canelo Alvarez ended up fighting on a PBC show against Caleb Plant. That shouldn't have been allowed. Otherwise, that fight wouldn't have been allowed to happen. These things should not be happening in boxing. It really shouldn't. Networks, promotions, management companies, or anybody shouldn't be blocking fights like that. They really shouldn't. But either way, yet again, Luis Ortiz has ducked another fight. He's ducked him. It's the only way you could possibly put it. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, and of course subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.